this computer. Hi, and welcome to the Jefferson County first meeting of the board members for the Libertarian County, for the Libertarian State board members. I am Patty McMahon. I am the Outreach Director for Jefferson County Libertarian Party, and with me is Ross Pump, the Jefferson County Chair. And this is a sponsored event by the Jefferson County Libertarian Party to help people meet the people that are running for our state board positions. So thank everybody for being here. And I want to first apologize for not going live on our YouTube or our Facebook pages. The reason why you're not on our YouTube page is that we haven't figured out how to merge this into our YouTube page. And Ross, why aren't we on our Facebook page?
Well, Mark Zuckerberg decided to restrict some of our Facebook privileges because they thought we had 2 posts with false information, which is not true. But they still decided to give us a 90-day limitation on what we could do on Facebook. And one of the limitations was that live streaming, they don't allow under this suspension. We are appealing it. Facebook isn't doing the appeal, so we have to appeal it to the FCC. So we're working on that, but it's going to be interesting. It's the first time we've appealed stuff through Facebook before, but they removed their appeal process, which is not I don't know why they did that, but we are working on it, and it's just bad luck on that for sure.
So for that, we apologize to everybody, and we will we plan to get this video up as quickly as possible. Now, the purpose of these town halls, roundtables actually, are to introduce people to the candidates who are running for the state board positions, and the state board convention is on March 12th. Tonight's roundtable, discussion is going to be with the outreach director. However, no one responded. So we are assuming that is because the people who are planning to run for outreach director has not been filed yet, which is not unusual. We are 10-15 days, oh my gosh, more than that, almost 2.5 weeks from the state convention. So it is not unusual that people have not announced that they are running for a position yet. So that the outreach director, because of the way that the dates fell and the open dates fell for these roundtables, it is not surprising that we didn't have anybody respond for outreach director. However, Ross will be here speaking on behalf of none of the above. So before we have Ross speak on behalf of the outreach director, none of the above candidacy, we did want to say that if anybody does announce that they are running for outreach director, please let us know, and we will be happy to make time for you on the other candidates roundtables, because we do want everybody to meet our candidates. So that being said, I would like to first turn it to Ross to find out, what does the outreach director for the state party do, Ross?
The outreach director is responsible for booking and running outreach booths and community events, and for maintaining outreach materials. The outreach director may establish and manage committees, including the appointment of any committee chairs to perform these or other outreach functions. So pretty straightforward job for sure.
So for someone like me, because I'm still fairly new in the party. I've only been in the party for a little under 2 years. And so I sometimes get the outreach director confused with the fundraising director. So the outreach director doesn't raise funds, do they?
Yeah, they don't raise any funds. That's the fundraising director. Now, what they can do is they can work together, and if the outreach director's doing an event, the fundraiser can say, okay, it's a good time to do an auction or whatever, to get some fundraising going on in the event. So that's a very good strategy. Hopefully they're working together to get some fundraising going on, because the outreach director by themselves has nothing to do with fundraising.
Okay, and I think that's something that, that I think sometimes people get those two confused when electing officials. And the reason why I bring this up is because the fundraising director is also up for election in this cycle. And so we will be talking to people who are running for fundraising. And I want to make sure that people understand there is a very distinct difference between the outreach director and the fundraising director. And so when people are voting, they understand that the outreach director does outreach and the fundraising director does fundraising. And we will be discussing, when we discuss the two, we want to make sure that people know what they are voting for and that they are two very distinct duties on that. Same thing with legislative and campaigns. They are not the same duties. And so we just want to make sure that our voters are informed so that they understand that there is a difference, and they're in our bylaws, right? I mean, so people can find the difference in our bylaws, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. All the state positions are in the state bylaws, and the county positions are in the county bylaws. So yeah, that's the best place to find that information.
So that being said, you are going to speak on behalf of None of the Above, which is a very real voting. I mean, that's actually a candidate on our ballots, correct?
That's true. On every libertarian ballot, Noda is on there, at least statewide with the state convention for sure. And basically the way Noda works is it's none of the above. And actually, if Noda wins the election, that means that anybody who was running, if let's say there's 3 people running and Noda wins, that means those 3 people don't get the position. And there is the option that somebody else who is interested in the position can put their name in after the election and get voted in still. If nobody's interested, and after the vote goes into place, then that position would go vacant. So that's kind of how that works. And what's interesting is if you look at the president of the United States, Noda would have actually been a pretty good candidate, and I would take Noda over our last couple of presidents any day of the week. So Noda isn't bad. It's just Noda doesn't do anything. So they don't do anything bad, or they don't do anything good either. They just do absolutely nothing. So that is how Noda works. Or if somebody's, another reason to vote for Noda is if somebody's like 5 minutes late and they're supposed to get in the convention, you can vote, and you don't like any of the people that are up there now, you can vote for Noda. And then if they get in there and get credentialed, then you could vote them in later. So that's another, that doesn't happen very often, but that is possible. That'd be another reason to vote for Noda. Now, another thing is if, let's say Noda wins and nobody at the convention wants to run, the board has the authority, the state board has the authority to vote somebody else in because it's a vacant position. So that can be a plus or a minus, depending on how much trust you have in the board making those decisions. So that's another thing to keep in mind. That's both a positive and a negative of voting for Noda. But in the short term, voting for Noda means nothing's going to get done, nothing bad, nothing good. And depending on who the candidates are, depends on whether Noda is a good vote or not. And during the last couple presidential elections, Noda would have been way better than we ended up with. So actually, just looking at all the presidents, Noda is probably in the top half of all the presidents in history, without question. So
let me ask a question on this one, because as someone who hasn't been in the party for lots of years, I get very confused between the difference of Noda and I abstain. So if I abstain from voting, what is the difference if everybody abstains? So let's say that like I'm just going to use outreach director. So let's say that we have 4 candidates for outreach director, and no one likes any of them, and everybody just refuses to vote for them, as opposed to voting for Noda. Nobody raises their hand, so we all abstain from voting. What is the difference between a Noda vote and an abstaining? Because it seems like they would be the same. Would they be the same?
Okay, there is a difference between abstaining and Noda, but the difference is, well, let's say you abstain and there's one person who votes for whatever candidate, and everybody else abstains, then that one person would, that got one vote, would win. If everybody else voted for Noda and the one person still voted for whatever candidate A, then Noda would win.
So Noda is a genuine candidate then.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
abstaining means I'm not voting at all. Whereas if I vote Noda, I am voting for a genuine candidate.
yeah, you're voting for none of the above. Yeah, it's an actual vote. So yeah, Noda can win, and they do win. There's going to be several elections that Noda wins, and a lot of them are because nobody else is running. But there could be others that Noda wins. Usually it's pretty rare that Noda wins if there's an actual candidate, but it is possible.
Okay, so this actually helps a lot, because for someone like me, I don't actually know the difference on this. And everybody knows this about me, is that I refuse to vote for something I don't understand, because I think that's a very wrong vote. I mean, you should always vote for things that you understand, because if you don't understand it, that's just the worst type of voter ever, right? I mean, I'm voting yay or nay on something I don't understand, and I'm just doing it because my friends are telling me to do it. I mean, who does that? So by abstaining, I am actually laying my vote on the table and acknowledging I don't understand it, and allowing everybody else who does understand it to make the decision. And so for someone like let's say you don't like your choices, you say, you know what, I think the choices I have are wrong, so I'm going to vote none of the above. And the next person says, well, I disagree with you, I think this is a good candidate, I'm going to vote for this candidate. So what I've done is I've walked away saying, I don't know what's good or bad, so I'm going to hand it to all of you. And you are saying, well, I disagree with all of this because I've researched it, and my vote is none of the above because I think they're all bad. Whereas the other people say, well, I disagree with Ross, I think this person's good and I think this person's good. So it gives everybody a fair and equal voice, including the people who disapprove.
Yeah, abstaining, that's a good way to say it. Abstaining is a good option if you just don't know. If you don't know either candidate or that type of thing, abstaining totally makes sense. But if you know the candidates and you don't like them, then Noda's a good option. If you like both candidates equally, you can vote for both, typically, as long as you're doing approval voting, which I'm pretty sure they're going to do.
And I'm going to ask you about approval voting in a second. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
And and obviously, if you like one candidate way better than the other, then just vote for the candidate you like. That's obvious. But yeah, with the approval voting, it's definitely interesting. But yeah.
So let's, because we're going to use this, since we don't have the outreach directors here to talk about, you know, their candidacy, we are going to use this a little bit to explain some of the voting processes. So approval voting, that is also it seems to be a uniquely libertarian thing. I actually do understand approval voting, and I'm a big fan of it. Could you explain how approval voting works when it comes to electing our board members?
So yeah, the way it works is you can vote for as many or as few people as you want to, or candidates. One of the candidates is Noda, but this is where it gets confusing. If you vote for Noda, you can't vote for any of the other candidates. So, because it doesn't make sense to vote for none of the above and then vote for a candidate. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But let's say there's 3 candidates and they're both equally qualified. You can just vote for all 3 of them. Or if 2 are really good, then you can vote for 2 and not vote for the other. So that's an option. Or I mean, if obviously none of them are qualified, then the Noda option makes the most sense. But yeah, it's really a good option, especially if there's 2 candidates that are both pretty strong and you just don't know which one's better. It's not the same as abstaining, because that abstaining isn't voting for any of them. It's just not voting for that race. But yeah, I've done that quite a bit in these elections, is voting for 2 if they're equally qualified and would do a equally good job. I've done that quite a few times. So that's definitely an option.
So let's see if I understand approval voting correctly. So in an approval voting, let's say it's you and I, and I'm going to say our 3rd person, I'm going to call them Bob. Okay, so it's you, I, and Bob, and we're voting for the outreach director. And so it comes time to vote for them. And you know, and we have 4 candidates for the outreach director. And we're going to call them candidate A, B, C, and D. And then of course we always have Noda. And so we all like candidate A, B, and C, but Bob doesn't like D. So based on approval voting, candidate A, B, and C go forward to the next round, correct? Because since Bob doesn't like D, candidate D, since A, B, and C all get equal amounts of votes, and candidate D only gets 2 votes, then we would go into a next round of voting, correct? Because A, B, and C now.
If it's a tie, they would have to go to another round. Yeah, you don't see that very often, but it could happen.
Okay, but I'm figuring out, like, okay, so then we go into A, B, and C, and we go back in, and they all give their passion speeches again, and or whatever we do, and they sway me. So I vote, you and I vote for A, B, and C, and nobody votes for we all vote for A and C, but nobody votes for B. So then B gets kicked out, and now we have A and C. And then again, we go back into another round of voting, and everybody, well, two people vote for A, 1 person votes for C. So candidate A wins based on that. So an approval voting, we all keep voting until the candidate comes up, right? I mean, that's
yeah. Well, that's extremely rare. You see that a lot more in ranked choice voting, actually.
Oh, okay. But
yeah, because there have to be, I mean, yeah, if it's only 1 or 2 people voting, that's more common. But if there's like 50 plus people, that's pretty rare to get ties.
Okay.
That could happen. We've seen it before, but it's not real common.
Okay.
So
okay. So let me then just check. Okay, so if we have 4 candidates and 1 candidate gets 2 votes, well, let me just throw one thing out. If in that scenario, if Bob voted Noda in the beginning, Bob can't vote for anybody else after he votes Noda.
Mhm.
He just put his Noda on the table and walks away, right? I mean, that's done. He can't say Noda
right, yeah,
and
that's
A.
right. Yeah, you can't change his mind. Yeah.
Okay. So this is where I think we get confused with Noda, because I think I kind of hear people say Noda, and then later they come back and say but, and it's like, well, no, there's no but with Noda, right? Noda is always, that's it. You have chosen no one. When you say no one, that means no one, period. So that's a hard choice.
That means all the candidates that are up there, you don't think any of them are any good, and that's why you're voting Noda.
Okay.
Basically what you're saying with voting for Noda.
No, but if you abstain, can you change your mind if you abstain?
I don't. Oof. Yeah, I'm not sure. So if it's a multi-round, so if it's a tie, I think, let me think. I know this has happened. I don't think this has happened at the state convention, but it might have. I know it, I'm trying to remember how that worked at the national convention. And I am not sure. I'm just trying to remember how that worked.
That's a
on that
question we
thing.
should get answered then to find
Yeah,
out if you change your mind if you abstain. But if you vote no to that, you can't change your mind.
Yeah, you might be able to change it, but I'm not sure. I'd have to check on that.
Okay.
For Noda, you can't though.
Okay. Okay. So let me go to questions. Oh wait, well, before I do, is there anything else that you want to say about Noda? Because I think Noda is a very interesting voter. It's a very interesting voter, and it sounds like it's a very powerful voter. We have to make sure that if you decide to vote Noda, you have to be very careful about it, right? You just can't do it because you think you're being cute. I mean, this is a very serious voter, and Noda, you have to take your Noda vote seriously. This is you could take away a very qualified person from serving, but not just that, you could take away anybody from serving, and the possibility of not having anybody in that position, which could hurt the LPCO. So we have to be very careful when you use that, right? I mean, this is not a joke vote. Correct?
Oh yeah, definitely not. Yeah, especially since you can't vote for a candidate if you vote for Noda. Yeah, it's pretty rare that I'll vote for Noda. It's got to be. I just don't see it too often. I'll probably abstain more often than vote for Noda, if that's any indication. But there are cases when it makes a ton of sense, for sure. So yeah, if there's a candidate or two candidates that just are really bad or obviously not libertarians or things like that, or can't do the work or whatever, then Noda makes a lot of sense in those cases.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's go on to questions. Most of the questions we got and that we're getting are not about the outreach director position, and they're not about Noda. They're actually about the convention. And we just want to let people know we are not here to discuss the convention. We are here to discuss only the candidates that are running for office. However, since we don't have anybody other than our Noda candidate, we will address some of these questions. Ross, one of the questions is, when is the convention and where is the convention?
The state convention is on March 12th, and it's at Lily Fresh Farm, and that's in Kinsburg, Colorado, 1833, County Road 53. And that's kind of northeast of Denver is where that is located. It's not too far of a drive to get out there. So it's not like I think it's about an hour. I mean, it depends on what part of Denver you're driving from, obviously. But it's not a real far drive or anything. And there is a hotel nearby as well.
That's the Best Western, right?
Yeah, Best Western, that's close. But yeah, you wouldn't have to use a hotel. You just have to get up kind of early if you don't. So,
and I believe registration starts at 7 a.m. and it is slated to start at 8 a.m. Yep. And we've asked if there's going to be, because this is one of the questions that had come up when we were asking for input. It's somebody asked if it was going to be live streamed. I have asked that question. And Hannah Goodman, the vice chair, told me that they are looking at live streaming it, but we don't know where it is being live streamed. When we do find out, we will post that information on the Jefferson County Facebook page so that people can access the live stream. So we do know that there are plans that it will be live streamed. Ross, another question that came up is people were asking if they have to buy tickets and how much it will cost if they have to buy tickets to attend the convention, because I think there's a lot of confusion about the cost of the convention, and there's not a cost to attend the convention, is there?
That's correct. That the purchase tickets are required only if you wish to attend the special events, such as the meals, and Dave Smith will be speaking at the keynote. There's no cost to attend any business sessions, which would include any of the voting sessions. So that's good news. It's completely optional. You can, I think the maximum amount is 150, if I remember right. And then there's, I mean, you can choose which package up to that. There's some different options on what you can do. So it's anywhere from $0 to $150 is the cost.
Yeah. So this is, it's not the convention is, it is always free to its members. It is not, you do not have to pay to attend it. However, you do have to be a registered libertarian, and you had to have been registered, I believe it was by December 12th. I could be 1 or 2 days off of that. But if you need to get information about the convention, we actually do have a convention chair. And Ross, how would they get information about the convention, all things about the convention? Because I know we have a convention agenda. We have information about how to be a delegate and all for our national convention, and how to run for office and all that. And so we do have a convention chair.
Yeah, if you have any questions about the convention, you can contact Karen Ann Harlos at secretary@lpcolorado.org, and she'll be able to answer any questions, specific questions about the convention.
Okay, and I'm trying to see if any other questions in here. No, I don't think so. Okay, do you have anything that you want to add, Ross?
Yeah, not really. It is, well, I guess one thing, it is really important to attend if you can, because all of the elections, or all the positions for the elections coming up in 2022 will be decided. And basically, the more people that are there, the more potential there is to get full slates of candidates, or large amounts of candidates on the ballot, which is huge. In Jeffco, the way it works is if we can get a full slate of candidates, we actually have a chance to be the top line on the ballot. They'd have a drawing to determine who's the top line. So we'd have a 1/3 chance to be the top line. So, which is, I mean, it's a pretty big deal, because just being on top gives you a little bit of extra presence on the ballot. It doesn't mean we'll be winning all the elections, but it will help. Any little thing like that can help. So the closer we can get to a full slate, plus it's free advertising for the party too. The closer we can get to a full slate is huge. So the better attendance we can get to the convention, the more people we can get, the better.
Right, and in Jefferson County, we are all about getting our people on the ballot and helping them just connect. As a matter of fact, before we end this, we want to remind everybody that on Thursday we do have our Puppies in Politics at the Coal Mine Brewing. It is slated, I think, to be like 6 degrees, which is just bone chilling. So if you are bringing your puppy on Thursday, have fun with that. The rest of us are going to be inside where it's warm, and puppies are not allowed to be inside. They will be outside at the dog park, but we're still going to be holding the event. We're just all going to be inside with the heaters, and it's going to be warm. However, if you want to talk about campaigns and talk about what offices you may be interested in running for. Ross, you will be there, as well as other people who are interested in our campaigns. They will be there. So our Puppies in Politics will still be going off on February 24th at the Coal Mine Brewing Company. And I believe, I have to double check, but I think that's either at 6:30 or 7, maybe. You want to take a look at that real quick?
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say it's 7. But I think this is our last a formal gathering of the Jefferson County people before the convention. So we're hoping to get anybody who's interested.
It's 7 o'clock. I just checked.
7 o'clock. Okay. So we're hoping to get anybody who's interested in running for office to come on down and talk to us, meet us, and we can move that forward. We have a really great campaigns director who's been working with everybody on the state, from the state, who really wants to get everybody involved. So, Ross said, we want Jefferson County to be a force. So let's see if we can do that.
Definitely agree. And yeah, thanks for attending and watching us. And yeah, I hope you can make it to the Puppies in Politics event. And yeah, don't forget about the state convention. That's also huge on March 12th.
Lily Fresh Farms.
Yep.
And thank you very much for attending. Bye. Whoops. And we're out.